Hey, Captain Ross Robertson here. We're going to talk about kicker engines. It's something that I've used for a long time. We're putting this new 9.9 on my new boat. Now, maybe you're just repowering on your old boat, but a little kicker engine is going to do a lot for you. We won't talk too much about that, but putting wear and tear and hours on a small engine where the spark plugs are cost about 1/10, if not less than that, it's going to be much more fuel efficient than putting hours on your big expensive, like in my case, a 250 Pro XS. Kicker option is really a wise investment. There's just a few things you have to do that's going to save you some time. Maybe you can avoid the dealer and hang it yourself. There's just a few little simple steps. First thing is just physically hanging it on there, and we're just going to tighten it down, roughly a 3/4 inch wrench or so, depending on the type that you got, and tighten that right down on your bracket or your transom. The next thing you're going to want to do is, notice I've got back in here, you probably can't see it, but I put a couple 1/4-20 bolts in there. Basically, I just drilled and tapped it, and that's going to allow that not to have that slap on there. It's also going to make it much more difficult for somebody to steal it, to be perfectly honest. Now, on some brackets or some transoms, you may be able to actually through bolt it, and I would highly recommend that if you're able to do that. In my boat, I'm not really able to with the way that it's set up, but just putting a simple 1/4-20 bolt on each side by drilling and tapping it, we're good to go. Another thing is the fuel line. A lot of these will come with a fuel line. If not, they're somewhat universal. You just look at the package, it's going to tell you for what manufacturer and what horsepower that it is. But a couple little things that you may or may not know about is you can see a little zip tie in here. It's just not a regular zip tie. Do not use a regular zip tie that you can buy 100 of them for a couple bucks. You're going to want to use a radius zip tie if that's what you're going to use, or just use a little hose clamp. A couple different clamping styles like that. Those are nice. Always have a couple extra with you, and use those. Shorten up your fuel line. Don't have a ton of extra in there. Just makes it more of a pain in the butt, something you're going to trip over. Once you get that hooked up, you're almost good to go. But most of these manufacturers, a big tip here is they're going to come with no oil in them. Okay, 4 strokes, lean over, it's going to run in the pan, it's going to be a bad deal, it's going to be a hot mess. But read your manual on the kicker. Okay, I don't remember off the top of my head exactly, but I want to say it's about 27 ounces that my Mercury Pro kicker takes. And what I do is I run about 1 ounce to almost 1.5 ounces less than what they say. And the reason is simple. These little engines, as they idle around, because I'm using it just to kind of putz around and troll with, it's actually going to make oil over time when running at those low RPMs. So we're going to have more than what we started with. They'll run just fine, even though I'm sure that I'm not supposed to say that out loud, but the truth of the matter is putting too much oil in them is a really bad deal. So make sure you get just at, or maybe even a little bit below, and you're going to have a lot better deal. And then you've got other little things. Read your manual. Most of us guys, we don't read manuals. But like a little trip here, you can see that I got my handle and it locks in place. There's a little piece of plastic in here that you can pop out and cause that handle, or this won't lock in place normally. Just popping that little piece of plastic out. My buddy Dan actually told me that, to be honest, because I didn't read the manual back in those days. But it's really a big deal, because when this locks into place, I can make sure that I don't have my handle beating on the transom. I've chewed up glass on previous boats way back in the day because I didn't know that little trick. So just popping out a little piece of plastic that takes about 3 seconds can make sure that you eliminate a big fat fiberglass bill. So just a few little things, but when you do them, hang your kicker on, it'll make it a lot faster, a lot better, and long term, going to cost you a lot less money.